You're all very welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Good morning. Good to see you all. Today's topic is, why does performance become a substitute for identity? Is there any one of you who uses performance as a substitute for your identity? This January, we are focusing on rebuilding our identities. December, we focused on breaking cycles. Got to know the root causes of why we experience obstacles, hindrances to us flourishing in our true identities. And January, we are now rebuilding identities. Okay. Today, we're looking at identity versus performance. Many people confuse who they are with what they do. If your identity is tied to your performance, pressure will always expose you. We don't want to confuse who we are with what we do. We don't want to tie our identities to performance because pressure will expose us at some point. So we need to separate performance with our identities so that we do not entangle the two or mix up the two. Yesterday, we were talking about why high performers still relapse. And we talked about how relapse is not a discipline issue, but identity governance is the issue. Most of the times, we look very confident, we look very capable, we look very accomplished in our roles. Yet, some of us, not all of us, are unstable internally or feel unstable internally. Does any of you relate with that? Performance is the one that gives you feedback, not your identity. And that's why we rebuild inwardly in these sessions, so that when we go out there to perform, to maybe go to work, if we're employed, self-employed, business, professionals or visionaries or any leaders here, so that we do not mix up what we are building on the inside with the results that are expected of us at work. Because there's a difference between your identity and performance. Performance gives feedback, not identity. Now, success creates external validation, but it does not build your internal stability. You will perform very well at work. Your grades will be high, maybe in school or in your evaluation forms. You are excellent, but that is performance. That is work related. That is what we build outwardly. It does not build internal stability. That's the reason as to why we come here every single morning, so that we can replenish ourselves, our internal selves. That stability internally needs to be built, needs to be strengthened, needs to be enhanced. We need to rediscover who we are. We need to rediscover our identities. And once we know very well, these are our strengths, these are our weaknesses, then we know areas that we need to improve. What do we need to do? Yesterday, we talked about identity governance, which is setting systems and structures around our identity. So, question is, what have you done to contribute to the stability of your identity, that internal stability? Because you're not going to get validation for what you're building internally. No. What is going to receive validation is your success, is the work you do, are the buildings we build, the businesses we run, the products, all those things that we create. Your innovations are going to receive external validation, but you need to build inwardly, because wherever you pour out from needs to be replenished, needs to be filled up for the next assignment. Many of us have learned to earn belonging through achievement. Now, that is why I'm talking about identity versus performance. Have you found yourself learning to earn belonging through achievement? Have you found yourself building your relationships entirely based on your achievements, based on the money in your pocket, based on your work? That if these aspects of your life are out, you are left empty, because your relationships, your internal system was entirely built on performance. That's why we need to take care of ourselves. That's why we have these sessions. We need to build internally first. then we go outside and build. Because once we are firmly rooted in our identities, who we are, the strengths that God has placed in us, our character is firmly rooted, then it is easy for us to separate and not feel like our belonging is earned through achievement. Please note what I am saying. It's very important for you because you will break. You will get to a point and you will break. That's why we have burnout. If our belonging is earned through achievement, let's not allow our performance to replace our identities. Let us separate the difference between our identities and performance. Otherwise, this is going to lead to burnout. I want you to reframe performance and identity. And I want you to understand the difference between the two. Performance equals output. Identity equals internal structure. Yesterday, we talked about identity governance. We talked about building systems around your identity. Having laws, having rules, having boundaries, having processes, having structures around your identity. That is governance around you as a person. So when you're firmly rooted, built on a rock, because you're the foundation, then the rest can be built. Not you building first and then you come back when things have crashed internally. So performance equals output. Identity equals internal structure. Confusing the two is going to create fragility. Performance can win you approval, but it cannot anchor you. We're not working for the approval of men. Once you start working for the approval of men, then your identity is going to be easily shaken. It's very important for you to build inwardly first before you go out. Now that you have understood, let's have a reflective session. In my daily teachings, I usually give you a very clear description and then I want you to reflect. I ask you questions and I request that you get pens and papers. Write down these questions. You are alone there. This is a safe environment. And do this reflection exercise. It is for your own good, so that there is impact out of this class. If you've not been separating performance and your identity, I want you to write down this question. Who are you when you're not producing? Who are you when you are not producing? Second question, what happens internally when results slow down? What happens to you internally when results slow down? Have you ever imagined a point in time where you don't have a job or you don't have a business? You're just there. Who are you when you're not producing? Who are you when results from performance slow down? Have you ever thought about looking at yourself? Are you comfortable in your own skin? The third question, how do you relate to yourself when you fail? Do you cancel yourself completely out? Do you quit? Do you become suicidal? Do you feel like the world has come to an end? Or are you very comfortable saying, something is about to shift? If that door has closed, there's another that's going to open. Or are you always in control of everything? If you're shaking right now as you're thinking about the questions, then we need to firmly rebuild this month so that by the end of January, your identity is firm. It's like a rock because you're the foundation. And we want to have that identity firm, that even when the storms come, they'll not shake you. That even when everything is stripped of you, you're like, I am still, and you feel empty, this is the right place for you. You're going to stop feeling empty. continue attending every day, we are rebuilding our identities. This emptiness is going to go. Now I want to confess differently. I want you to say, this January, this emptiness is going. Come here every single day at 10 a.m. and start looking at, because now you need to go down to the root. Why are you feeling empty? Okay, it's important for you to know why you are feeling empty. When you write down the things that we're talking about, then you will have a very clear understanding. Why am I feeling empty? When you start noting, when you start having the truth on the table and you don't speculate, and you write down performance versus identity. You write down, you can even go on my account and look at the videos that I posted before. We talked about so many things, but you need to write down, why am I feeling empty? What is the root cause? Name it, acknowledge it, and say, what am I going to do about it? Every time you tackle things like that, life changes. You see your life starts changing slowly by slowly. It starts changing. Okay? Because this is for your own good. It's good that you're honest. And by the way, if you want to start healing, that is the start, by acknowledging, I feel empty. Now, the next question is, why? What has caused it? Let's look for the root cause, and then we start from there. Once we start structuring these things one by one, we're going to receive healing. We're going to break the cycles that lead to emptiness. And we are going to rebuild in those vacuums that are empty. Now, the last question. What part of you feels threatened when performance drops? Is there a part of you that feels threatened when performance drops? Ask yourself that question. You know, many of us build our identities through responsibilities. I won't lie to you. I didn't know the difference between identity and performance. From the time I was 16 years old, I started working. So probably I built my identity through responsibility, thinking that this is what I am supposed to do, and I loaded myself with a burden that I did not even think I could carry. The consequences were really heavy because I did not know how to separate the two. But now I know how to separate Jacinta and work and results and opportunities and responsibilities. That's the reason as to why we rebuild inwardly first, then we go outward and build. So if you have been building your identity through responsibility, it's going to get to a point and you're going to feel empty, and you're going to burn out, and you're going to break. Because the burden you are carrying probably most of the times is not yours. Because you have not separated the two so that you can look at each and every entity independently. If performance has become your safe place and it's what drives you only, and you're not driven from your inner man, like I asked you a question, what if the work slows down? What will you do? What if the results go down? What will you do? You remember what COVID did? It gave us a very rude awakening. So performance should not become your safety space. Let performance be there, work be there, but not become your validation, what describes you. If your identity has been performance-based, you have learned under pressure, you have built your life under pressure, your sense of belonging is performance-based, your relationships are built on your achievements, performance. If it's not there, you don't have them. If it's not there, your emotions are scattered. If the performance is not there, your social life is dead. If performance is there, not there, your spiritual life is dead. If you have identity is performance-based, that means it was learned under pressure. It's not a weakness, but it was something that you adapted to, and we want to turn away from it. And that leads me to the step-by-step lessons that I am going to give you so that you come out of a performance-based identity. It is adaptation that led you to a performance-based identity. You learned to build your identity through responsibility. Performance became your safety, and now you're feeling empty. You're burning out. You don't know how to separate the two. So I want to give you a structural difference between identity and performance so that you start separating the two. After rebuilding in this session, after replenishing in this session, after getting to know aspects about your life and start separating two things, performance and identity, now you're going to start seeing things differently because you're going to start appreciating you for who you are. You're not going to attach your sense of belonging on your performance. You're not going to build your relationships based on achievement, because when achievement dies out, you will see the people flee. You will not see anyone's soul beside you. Let me give you a testimony. I learned how to work when I was still very young as 16, and maybe even earlier than that. So my identity was really performance-based. When I decided to walk away from everything because I wanted to evolve, I wanted to get out of the level that I was in. I was tired. I was empty, just like A has written. I was completely dissatisfied, empty. I didn't want anything to do with the business. It was there, but I reached a point and I was tired. Everything in me was drained. And sometimes God allows that to happen to you because He wants you to sit down and rebuild yourself first before you concentrate on all these other things, because we live them in this world. But I can assure you how I realized that even my relationships were built on achievements, on what was going on in my life, the businesses and everything. As the business left, so did the relationships. So did everything. Why? Because it was performance-based. They were built through what I could bring on the table. But when I walked away completely to go back to the drawing board, life changed completely. The relationships I have built are not performance-based, are not attached to achievements. That's the only way you can tell a genuine relationship. Now I can differentiate between performance and my identity. And now I can know that these relationships that I am building are built based on who I am, my identity, with all my character flaws and strengths. And there's no one who isn't weak. That's the honest truth. There's no one who is without blemish. There's a difference between performance-based identity, the relationships you build, your spiritual life, your social life, and everything around you. So let me take you through the structural difference between identity and performance. So if your identity has been performance-based, you're going to start breaking this and start separating the two. Now, roles are temporary. Identity must be stable. Okay, let's say telecom. Today you're in customer service. The next day you're at the reception. Another year you're in marketing. Roles keep changing, but your identity is stable. It does not change. It remains the same. You only evolve into a totally different person. You grow or you regress. So you must ensure that your identity remains stable despite your roles changing so that you don't mix the two. For example, today you're an entrepreneur, the next time you're a leader, another time you're a founder, then you add on being a parent, then you add on being a professional. Roles keep changing, but your identity must always remain stable. If you know the difference between the two, life is going to be very smooth for you. Then another thing about roles being temporary and your identity being stable is your performance may fluctuate with season, with health, with the environment, but your identity is not going to fluctuate. That's why I don't want you to mix the two. What if your health is affected? Won't your performance fluctuate? What if seasons change? Won't your performance fluctuate? Okay. So it's important for you to know that roles are temporary, identity remains stable. No matter what, don't allow your identity to be built on performance. Otherwise, it's going to lead to burnout. It must remain consistent. That's why every single day, purpose to replenish, purpose to feed yourself, feed you, lest you're going to be drained and you're going to have a lot of burnout. Another structure difference between identity and performance. First of all, roles is what you carry. Identity is what carries you. Don't forget that. The second thing is why success doesn't heal insecurity. You know, achievements come, put in a lot of effort, then you receive achievements, you receive awards, but your identity, it's not rewarded. Have you ever noticed? Who you are is never rewarded. Who rewards identity? It's your achievements. It is what comes out of your identity that is rewarded. Oh, yeah. So if you have any insecurities, success will not heal your insecurities. That's why we need to work on these generational patterns, negative behavioral patterns, belief systems that we pick on along the way, because achievements reward effort, but not your worth. When you are insecure, it's about you. If you have an unresolved identity, then you will find yourself putting yourself under so much pressure to succeed. You put yourself under so much pressure. I want to succeed, or you want to keep up appearances. It's not going to heal your insecurity. That's success. So try to focus on your unresolved identity. If you're dealing with unhealed trauma, if you're dealing with generational patterns, if you're dealing with dishonor, if you're dealing with all these issues to do with scarcity, poverty, deal with those issues, because they're going to affect your identity, who you are. And at the end of the day, it's going to affect your performance. Separate these two. And by the way, the higher the performance, the greater the fear of collapse. The higher you go, the pressure mounts. Because success increases pressure. When business was small in the first 5 years, I did not experience pressure as much as I did in the 8th year, in the 10th year, in the 13th year. It was the pressure kept on mounting. And because my identity was unresolved, and because there were so many issues to do with a performance-based identity, things just crashed. Internally, not externally. Because externally, things were still going on well. But as soon as I crashed internally, everything started crashing externally. Because I felt so empty, I just wanted to walk away. So you don't want to get to that point. That's the reason as to why you need to differentiate between performance and identity. Don't allow yourself to go on that path of unresolved identity, because the moment your identity is unresolved and you continue achieving, the higher you go in terms of success, if you look at it very clearly, they fear stopping more than failing. Think about it. Most of us fear stopping more than failing. We would rather keep up appearances. We would, like, how are they going to see me failing? How do I allow myself to even get to this point here of stopping more than failing? And by the way, success, like I said, will not heal your insecurities. So better to deal with that unresolved identity. Build inwardly, then go out and build. So success does not remove insecurity. It just amplifies it. The more successful you are, the more insecure you're going to become. So deal with the unresolved identity. Don't mix the two. Another difference between identity and performance, because we're giving a structural difference. I want to understand it in depth. Okay? What happens when performance collapses? Do you remember one of the questions I asked you? I told you to write down what happens when the results become low. What happens to you? Yeah, action. Burnout. You may relapse into your old habits. You may lose direction. You may become confused, and then you get back into shame cycles. You remember the framework I gave you of pain? Yeah. How relapse comes back? Pain, then you relapse, then you feel shame, then you isolate, then you relapse. You go back into those shame cycles when performance collapses. When your business dies today, when they fire you from your job, when you no longer have that sense of belonging because it was performance-based. What happens? Don't allow your identity to be attached to your performance, because when performance collapses, identity is not going to be built. But when performance collapses, when anything happens like the way COVID happened, and your identity is found rooted, it is built, it is firm. It can it cannot be shaken even when storms come. You'll just evolve. You'll be seeing things differently. You'll be seeing opportunities even in times of pressure, because your identity is built, your mind is renewed, who you are is firmly rooted. While storms are raging, for you, you'll be seeing something totally different. While companies are closing, for you, you'll be seeing opportunities. Why? Because your identity is firmly rooted. So when you rebuild your identity, number 4, it separates you from performance. You must be able to define your identity beyond output. Output from your performance. You must anchor. Your identity must be anchored on something beyond your job description, beyond your role. Your identity must be stable under pressure. Even if pressure comes, even if storms come from west, even if they come from the east, the north, the south, for you are stable. Because they have done the work of rebuilding. You rebuild your identity. Even when the next responsibility comes to you, even when promotion comes, even when elevation comes, it will find you firmly rooted. So the one principle that I want you to take away today is you don't rebuild your identity by doing more. You rebuild it by restructuring who you are beneath what you do. So if you must go back to the drawing board, please do. But make sure that you separate your performance from who you are. Don't rebuild your identity this 2026 by doing more. No, you will burn out and you'll get to a point of being empty. I speak with experience. That's why I'm telling you this. Building more is not going to heal insecurities. Building more is not going to heal unhealed trauma. Building more is not going to take away generational patterns. Restructure who you are beneath what you do. So this January, we are rebuilding identity. And we want to separate our identity from performance, because we don't want to mix the two. If performance goes wrong, if business is shaken, if our jobs are shaken, if there's something that's going wrong, you are firmly rooted. We're like, no, you start thinking positively and proactively. What next? Don't reduce your identity to excellence in terms of performance. Make yourself very sustainable. This is how you make yourself sustainable, by rebuilding yourself, okay? You make yourself sustainable in a way that even when things shake, even when there's success, even when there's a promotion, you are still you. You are still you. In and out of season, your identity is built on a solid rock. So on 29th and 30th of January, we are having a virtual event, Rebuilding Identity. This is where we go deeper. It's a 2-day virtual event. If you're a leader, if you're a professional, if you're a visionary, let's attend this virtual experience. Think about it. You have enough time to plan, but continue coming for these free lessons as we rebuild, as we prepare ourselves for 2026. We want to be totally different people. Okay? When your identity becomes stable, performance is just an expression. It will not be your prison anymore. It will not be your prison. I hope I have made a difference today in your lives. I hope I have contributed to your rebuilding. This January, we are going to rebuild identities. But on 29th and 30th, we're going to go deeper. You're going to have, at least, if you've been following me right from the start, or even if you've joined right now, you see a totally different you. Because transformation does not take a day. Transformation takes time, but you have to put in the effort to it that you move from one level to another. Don't remain stagnant. We want to see a new you. this 2026. So let's purpose to rebuild our identities, to separate our identities, who we are, from output, results, performance. So may you have a day that is fruitful. May you increase in everything that you do. Be kind to one another. Bless somebody else out there. Okay? You have inner strengths. Use what God has given you. If He has asked you to encourage other people, to encourage other people. Whatever God has placed in you, use it and bless others and be of impact. We want to live lives of impact. We do not want to just walk aimlessly, just going to work, performing, business, what. Let's live lives of impact. As long as you're here on this platform and you've stayed up to this time, that means you want to be a totally different person. You want to be a person of impact. So I really do thank you for coming here, for attending this live every single day, 10 a.m. UAE time, Monday to Friday. We are here, building from inward before we go out to build. I love you all. Thank you so much for coming. God bless you. Have a beautiful, happy day. Bye.